hasn't really. Greetings. You haven't seen this beautiful being face. Oscars. It's been a while. Not really. I've had some things change and results being here now on this channel. But I'm still able to connect with all of you. Give an honest source to be able to make it all as possible. I just want to bring y'all some encouraging things. I got to get very creative. Got to get very creative. Shout out to the artist who created this magnificent masterpiece. And make sure y'all get a glimpse of that. Pause the video if you have to. It's like a perfect, like, only one way I can just hold this up, but I'll let y'all get it like that. Anywho, let's give an honest source on this beautiful Love Day Friday. Venus Day. Man, do you know how unique, how special, how divine, how magical you are? Do you? Do you really? Well, let me express to you this. Like I believe I already gave gratitude to, ancestors known and unknown the most high. Yeah, gratitude for everything. Charge of my phone. Just because. Should be good right now. But anywho, let me jump right into it. Now, I'm not gonna say how much is true when it comes to this, but I don't know how scientists or even people will know, but I'm not really gonna, I'm trying to stand up this way. I'm not gonna say, how did I say this? Be very mindful when I say that. I don't know how they got their calculations, who or what. And the reason why this is so empowering is because I had an elder years ago, like, expressed to me, like, the power in just who you are, just being who you are, just standing in your power, being uniquely you, being authentically you. More and more each day, I keep reminding myself, like, how, how could I say this? Like, how much grace and gratitude that I've had to give myself throughout just the coming years and so forth. The honesty that I had to be with myself, the taking the responsibility for who I am, and how everything's unfolding. That being said, my calculations, not so much as mine, but creation. Let's talk about creation. Um, for those of you that don't know about um, how powerful you are, I'll give you a reminder. I have to remind myself that outside of social norms, outside of what mom and dad has said, outside of what anybody has said, no matter past, present, and so forth, I have to be the one who knows the beauty that I hold within as I blossom in this world, in this realm, in this universe. And I was researching, and it brought up what my elder said years ago. He said, he mentioned how, I don't know how, somehow we got on the topic of talking about just creation in itself and life in itself. Even, you know, the egg, the sperm, creation, and life. And somehow we got into the conversation, and somehow we got into something saying either I sparked it or he mentioned the fact that like I believe I had already mentioned like, hey, with all those sperm, meaning like those of you that don't know, and getting a little science lesson or whatever you want to call it, anatomy, autonomy, I don't know how, whatever word, but um, there's approximately 20 healthy men, even young men, that when they do find themselves to know what it is to, have that, this can be graphic for some, but just for educational purposes or, to enlighten you in a way to show you your purpose here. Um, you, when you're talking about like letting go of your, using the term sperm or life force, some may say, there is approximately from a healthy but young man, I said like those who come into that around the teenage age to manhood, or there's approximately, I want to say, it was saying like 20 million to almost, I want to say 40 to 200 million. You know, you can research it, like sperm that is released, and I want to say it's a drop or just in its entirety. Now, most people don't even know what $100,000 looks like, or 100,000 people, or even been in the presence of even thousands of people. When you're talking about millions of sperm that has to find its way to be accepted by one egg. And my elder was like, wow, out of all those sperm, you were chosen, nobody else. And when we were sitting there, I was like, whoa. And sometimes I used to ponder and be like, man, why did I have to be? Why me? Why me? But I'm constantly reminded every day, even when I see some form of artistry, even when I realize like uh, how even my connection to who's came before me and who will come after me, how even with my son, my daughter, from being from what the life force that I held, the semen and so forth, and meeting my partner and co-creating. I'm talking about co-creating from the creator. You're talking about something that when you look at the regeneration of life, you look at the cycles of life. I don't like take a moment and realize that you are a part of something so grand that sometimes the mind can't even fathom. I'm trying to give you a visual that out of millions, some may even say thousands, hundreds of thousands, whomever, no matter what you are going through and have been through, some can feel like their life has been cursed, but I'm here to remind you that you were chosen to go through this specific mission, purpose, to change, to shift, to become more aware, more enlightened, some may even call it, or to even be, to know that there's a sense of empowerment behind it. Even for those who were victims of RAP, those who were victims of, you know, so many trials and tribulations. I've spoken about even my own experience. And so for me to get here now and to see the beauty and to, ponder on how I, out of millions of sperm, I was the one. Like, how am I not the one in my lineage, in my so-called family, or the woman that I came through, the father that connected to my mother that I came through? How can I not see myself as being the one number one in my world, in my universe, how empowering that is for even me to be healthy, whole, and even to the process of having to unlearn, certain things that at a time I did not have the courage to even speak about, to utter, to even stand in this power, in this confidence, and to even share with you all that process, that consistency, that confidence, and so forth. So, my reminder to all of you out there, out of millions, if not some, hundreds and thousands, millions, whatever number you want to put on it, you were selected, anointed, elected, appointed to stand here right now, to be in this flesh, in this suit, in this body, to embody not only the ancestors that came before you, but the ones that will come after you. Even when you become an ancestor, even when you need a sense of pick me up and a reminder that when you were incarnated or when you came here, a reminder that you, even when you had no knowledge or no awareness of what it is you're here like coming to do, it almost seemed like amnesia, but you're reminded, and this is your reminder that eyes have not seen, I forgot that scripture, but eyes have not seen nor ears have heard, and if you want to research that, just those words that I said, it's the power in even how the Creator has used certain people, even through generations, other family trees, other people, to even have the courage to write said words, or even to create certain books, or to even create certain artistry and so forth. You too have the same gifts, just in your own unique way. No matter what your mother, your father, anyone in this world has said, you are a reflection of something more grander. It's you that had to go within to remember, to reclaim, to recall your power. And only you can do that. One of the greatest things that I realized that I had to reclaim within myself, and at times I felt like it was a curse to even have such insight, such knowledge, or even wisdom. But even in itself, with the semen or sperm concept of the egg, if it takes so much of so many, even the assertiveness and the sperm being from the man and then the woman having to receive it, because we're told that this narrative is that, you know, it's told basically opposite, but in a way of, what am I getting at? Like how, um, we think that the sperm does all the work. In actuality, there is even a magnetic charge when they connect. So it's almost like on a spiritual, even energetic level, you know, things even, the spark you have in life when you meet someone, or just when you connect with something, that spark. And the beauty of that is that you are that spark, you are that light, you are that beacon of light. It's just some of us have lost ourselves in the idea of what the world has tried to place and project onto us. But that spark in itself, the egg in itself, has to be open to receive that sperm, to even conceive that child. And even the beauty of that process, how even cycles later, how the placenta is created, how, the process of how the mother and child is one in the body, the beauty, how everything unfolds in cycles, how the heart is beating, and even when your heart is beating, your first connection is that of a mother. And this is what, I want to use the term rob, but also, it's, when someone says stealing something, it's almost like nothing truly was ever stolen. It's only to be replaced or restored. So it's like something like someone goes in the store and steals some type of product, right? But not realizing like there's an abundance of that. So who really is losing out because it's almost like having an insurance policy. Like a lot of you don't realize like the Most High, the Creator, you have an insurance policy out on your life. So there is consequences to what we have believed to be or perceived to be stolen from us when everything is restorable, replaced, or even, you know, nothing. Basically, your who you are, your uniqueness can never be duplicated. Can never. It can be mocked, it can be copied, but it can never be duplicated. Your essence, your DNA structure, who you are, can never be duplicated. And so, um, what was I getting at with the even the process of the egg, like it shows the power even in the woman. How me, I mentioned this before. How if I'm seeing the sperm, I'm seeing the sperm as being the light aspect of like masculinity, assertiveness. You know, just a reflection of how we're both masculine and dark because the masculine, the light hasn't entered the darkness. So even with life, is no outrunning the darkness or the shadows of life. So even man himself, no matter how prideful, no matter how wounded his ego is, no matter what it is, he too has to seek out the woman in some type of way to balance himself, to rebalance himself. It's almost like the woman in itself being, because how I see the egg in itself, I see a representation of the moon. Like you have to go into the darkness, go within the self, and go within to pull, to purge, or even to recreate, reinvent, to be reborn through said emotions, through said experiences. And, this is what relationships does. This is what connections, this is what partnership, friendship, whatever you want to call it, this is what it does because it teaches us, for one, a sense of leadership, a sense of quality, a sense of respect, and so forth. So it's almost like the connection, even when said mother and father met, whatever their belief system, value systems were, again, that connection in itself, that DNA connection, that coming together from this lineage and that lineage, that father who held some type of imprint of the matriarchal and patriarchal, well, there's a matriarchal imprint within him. There's a feminine imprint within him, and he represents that in a patriarchal way. So meeting this woman again, there's an imprint within her DNA structure that holds a belief system and value from her lineage, and in that imprint, in that even in itself, even in what she's not aware of and he's not aware of, when they come together and conceive that child, you're talking about energetically karma. So when that sperm and that egg connects, and then you have life in itself, it's almost like something falling into. How can I give a description of this? Like, uh, I forgot. Like, if you see on cartoons and movies where something that's not supposed to fall into a black hole, then even when that black hole, that suction, when it sucks something that it's not normally, how can I say normally? It's like something that goes in there, and then this pressure, like a pressure cooker or something that is built up, and then it has to, how can I say? I'm trying to think the word is explode or implode on itself. So it's almost like that's what life is. It's almost like I don't like to say the word take, but give and receive, give and receive balance with life, feminine and masculine principles. It's a polarity to everything. So as much as even where the idea of how the wounded masculinity displayed in women and men, even when we think we don't necessarily uh, have to have each other's support or we want to create this illusion of separation, they're still in a way having to be a push pull just for us to evolve. life is still going to evolve, whether um, you know, whether we like it or not, life is still going to evolve. So even in creation itself, even when you're seeing things evolve, there is a part of what some may call chaos just to create something. So let's say your mother and father were not aware of their own generational vices, curses, or just or even just awareness around necessarily the gifts and so forth. That's the beauty of how you specifically were created in this lifetime, in this moment. It's almost like unfinished business, a mission that was not so much just failed, but a mission that was only can be completed through you. And this is how, even when I reflect on certain people, places, and even when I look at just my family dynamic in this totality, I know many of people who have gifts. I know my father who has natural gifts and ability, whether it's spiritually or even physically playing out. The beauty of that is that their unfulfilled desires or just their unfulfilled things that they have pushed aside, that they have even um, self-sacrifice for their careers or for the sake of the like family. Some may not agree because their their continuance in that energy only it's almost like a build up just for you to almost rebel against what they have been what has been going on for whether years or generations, only for you now to evolve past that. And my life is a representation of that. When I focus more on my well being of people who do not see the importance of that. So my just incarnation, my just representation of the patriarchal will not look nothing the same as my father. Does that mean I won't have attributes or physically or certain things or certain patterns? Yes, only if I'm willing to having the willingness to change the narrative to now become said main character or just become aware that I too have a choice just as he did or just as his father did and so forth. And those vices and that energy or that karmic energy could look similarly to like a substance abuse or uh, spiritual warfare in the mind, the body, and so forth, even in the chakra system. Again, you're talking about two different people coming together, and when let's say Mama could have had a heart blockage because her perspective on men, or what she has went through with her mother, so she's not really open to love. So she led with her body, she led with her physical, she led with her lower nature. So let's say the father had a blockage in his root chakra, foundation, security, and so forth. So sometimes a lot of our connections, the miraculous part about this is that when you're connecting with someone, sometimes most of the time that connection, or when we're just meeting someone, if we're talking about on a spiritual or even chakra aspect, if you learn more about the chakra systems, is that you will notice, or I became more aware how in these meetings, energetically speaking, those who are aligned with being in tune with self, some of those relationships, some may call them karmic, but the beauty of even that karma or even that lesson is that that connection came to specifically highlight something, whether within yourself, most importantly, but also to bridge something, to bridge or even to bring in compassion that your lineage was missing, bring in stability, from that person, bringing a new belief system, bringing a more heightened awareness around life in itself, creation in itself. That's what evolution is. So when I'm saying that you, out of millions of cells, came here, do you know how unique and divine and special you are? Some kids, some people can come whether they have one arm, no legs or anything. It's the energy. Even kids on a said spectrum, it's the energy of that they hold within themselves, the soul, the spirit in itself, they still come in this higher frequency or this higher vibration or even the purity because we're all connected to something higher until we are through the programming of not just the world, but whatever the programming our mothers and fathers were in. So the beauty of what has been dis, dismantled, and I'm seeing it play out. It's so amazing. Is that when your mother and father created you, their worlds in itself were two different worlds. It's all like colliding with each other. His universe, your mother's universe, was not the same. Their worlds, their belief system, their values, everyone's mother and father. When you're talking about things traditionally, when you're talking about things religiously, when you, I can go on and on. So for a lot of you individually, or even whether you're in partnership relationships and so forth, this is a new foundation that is being created. You were already anointed, appointed in the womb before you arrived here. Before you arrived here, and then in the womb of your mothers, knowingly what your mission was here to do. And that's the beauty of being secure because you can have people who will even get to 40s and 50s and 60s, whatever, who mission here or purpose here is not to evolve internally. And that's what I feel like a lot of us battle with, is that it's not, we've been so programmed to believe this surface thing, like, oh, I can go change my clothes all I want to, but if I haven't did internal work or change anything within my internal world, then what? So that's what in this entirety, when you're talking about the miracle you are, how miraculous you are. Everyone is a miracle. There were things, the powers that used to be, there were things that did not want us, you, to believe that you are miraculous just by simply breathing. That is a miracle. You are billions, if not trillions, of cells. Only the Most High knows the hairs on your head. Do you know how fucking ah ah must I remind you? I have to remind myself daily. When I can see someone, I saw a video the other day. A guy was doing a tattoo with his feet. There's artists who do tattoos with their feet. That is miraculous. Do you know how valuable even you and your kids are? It's okay not to have it all together. Love, we are all unlearning and relearning again. The deepest programming is in, again, you took on mama's belief systems and daddy's belief systems. Men are visual, we're logical. So even if you don't realize that you're still, as a woman, as a young lady in your mind's eye, I see it so much with my daughter, how it ain't even just headstrong, how powerful she is. We do not realize how naturally powerful our kids are. How powerful. It ain't just reminding you, y'all, it's for me to know the importance of these kids. That the world has tried to make y'all believe that they are here to show us. They are here to show us. I look at my daughter, man, the nose and all this other stuff. I'm like, well, that's kind of like who I was. That's kind of like who I was very early. And sometimes looking at these little lives, these little people, I'm like, yo, it's amazing because you already know what they're here to do. And once they click with a lot of us, you realize how you already knew what you were here to do. And then you'll be able to have a place of compassion and grace because you realize how much mama and daddy know who they were. So whether they unintentionally or intentionally did things to try to, outside of the malevolent forces of spiritual warfare that was already assigned on your mission, on your purpose, but no weapon formed shall prosper. And that's the beauty of me being living proof. Every day I have to remind myself to give gratitude to my order, to give gratitude to my ancestors known and unknown, to give gratitude to be able to have a heightened awareness, even when I knew I had young, the gifts of intuition, the gift of discernment. You had these gifts before your mother and father met. And I've always remind people, your mother and father already knew what was assigned to you. And even if they did not have said resources, y'all gotta realize like people in certain demographics, let me show you how powerful and I said I am a miracle. I am a miracle. If I look and reflect on my childhood and so forth, it was my mother's responsibility to protect the innocent. Okay, in that, now I also have a responsibility, just as you are. You're talking about a world and the generations who did not prioritize protecting the innocent. And this is what the judgment is. The, it's the awareness around, yes, empowering to be empowered, but also to recognize who has tried to disempower, disengage, or even create a false empowerment, even around their image, even around who they feel they're even higher than. And that's the exposure. Because even when you're at this age, the inner child still wants to feel protected. That's your innocence. A lot of us don't even realize that was almost, again, perceived as the world of power that used to be wanted, perceived as if it was stolen, or if it, or even if it couldn't be restored. We're all, if you're recognizing, the wheat is being separated from the chaff. And the beauty of that is that it's almost like how you preserve certain things. A lot of us are being preserved and being set apart, specifically set apart. And even if you want to fight against this, let me tell you something. A lot of us were assigned purposely. You were the wheat, and your mother and father were the chaff. Your family are the chaff. Some of you don't want to accept, some may like to use that term black sheep. Listen, some of you are the wheat. And a lot of you incarnated or came here specifically to be the wheat. Your purpose is to be the wheat, not the chaff. And if you don't know about that, research it. So a lot of you have to come to that awareness that you are valuable. And the only reason I use the word separation is because to elevate yourself, to evolve past what your lineage has been in for so many generations. The mindset, the well being, to returning, your gifts are being restored. Your health is being restored. Your health shall be restored emotionally, mentally, spiritually. That's what's happening. So sometimes to them, you will be unrecognizable because why would you be recognizable in places around people who vow to never, not even just change, but to shift their mindset, to even elevate within themselves, to even evolve. So that in itself, you are a light. Whether you want to accept it or not, because in that darkness where you had to find your light within yourself and to realize that the just so much, and I'm not perceiving perceiving the darkness to be so much of just evil. It's not, it has nothing to do with it. It has the awareness of how there is no separation, like the yin and yang. They're one and the same. But the beauty and the awareness of it is that for you to be able to recognize not only the shadows and darkness that you're fighting against or the war within yourself, but be able to recognize that it wasn't just yours. A lot of us are not aware that, again, your father and mother met. The beauty of that miracle is that what makes you miraculous is the Most High, the Divine, protecting you even in the womb of your mother, where some people could have went through not just verbal but physical abuse. When you had certain children that did not make it out, when you had certain souls who did not want to incarnate in that family because of maybe the hardship or they did not want to come and learn that lesson. It's deep. Some people this will go way over their head. But for some of us, we were equipped with the tools necessary, necessarily. We were equipped with it. Nothing can ever make me feel ashamed and guilty for the fact of being a, let's say this, being assigned a mother. And even if she knew her awareness, even if my father knew his awareness of like how you can always counter or come back. No, I don't even like to say. Let's say come return to what they needed to face within themselves, only to rise. Um, and that's the thing I realized a lot of people didn't want to do, even in some of our guardians or people. They were never guardians. They were guardians for a time being, but they didn't uphold their purpose or mission to be protectors and guardians. And a lot of us are guardians. That's not the same as a parent. These terms, when you learn the etymology and the root word of, a guardian. And the beauty of being a guardian is that something is guarding you. And when you learn to be the importance of a guardian, you learn to guard your heart. You learn to guard that which is sacred. And so a lot of us are sacred to the divine. Even when our mothers and fathers, grandmothers and a lot of people didn't see it. They knew, but they refused because of their own internal conflict, because of being afraid to be said black sheep or outcasted. And, for, people to even perceive it like, oh, you're showing this one favoritism, or you're showing this one this. There's so many things that I realized that for some of you that, I feel like I need to say this. Well, I have to. Some of you don't even realize like how some of your grandmothers, certain people in your family, you may have like a relative or somebody, just someone who is almost like a soul connection or a deeper connection to where they're always there, but you don't even realize like they're like a spirit guide or a guardian, you know, you never knew about. And they were even assigned in your life. Even when a smear campaign or so many people came up against you and so forth. Even in times like the Most High shall use your enemies as guardians. That's how deep a lot of stuff really goes. At the same moment, you may not perceive them as an enemy, but they're enemy to themselves. And even with that, there's something within them that somehow they're not willing to evolve past that enemy aspect to become an ally. So for a lot of you, some of you were assigned people in your life prior to you arriving here to even be said protectors or guardians. Your mission, your purpose is so so divinely guided and protected that some of us don't even realize like there are certain things only you can do and no one else is supposed to do in this world when you live it out. And even no matter who did not support, no matter who did not encourage you, and so forth, there's always an opposing energy to that. And that's what I'm able to recognize. If you become more aware and start to heal and face a lot of things in yourself, you'll be able to see that energy or certain certain things play out spiritually. Um, you know how you can see, like for instance, I'll use an example for me. Uh, there's people in my life now that actually resemble certain family. There's people in my life that well, not so much in my life, but in an experience, I've seen people. I'm like, man, me, let's say me moving away from the said family, who again, who is not willing to evolve, but I'm able to recognize it now, is that, and it's not so much that's not love there. They so much don't have the willingness or have the courage to step into what it is I'm doing. And that shouldn't, that in itself doesn't devalue anyone. That shouldn't make someone feel less or like you're not important. But that's what the power that needs to be in the world wanted people to believe in this illusion and give off. It's like just because they're in this class or they live in this neighborhood and so forth, that they're not as valuable. That's not necessarily true because on a deeper, more conscious level or awareness, everyone has substance and value. It's just if it's also people who have a programming to not even see beyond that. And necessarily, it's not even some people's fault. It's so much of like a lot of us was not taught how to face those things, even how to do it. I see a lot of elders leave this world or certain things that happen. Like again, I'm being able to recognize even moving away from said people to see exactly energetically what it is I got away from, if that makes sense. And just by experience, it's like I'll see someone who reminds me of someone. And similarly, I'll see like the behavior pattern, but it's a reminder like this is what you were getting away from. This is exactly why I removed you, the Most High. This is exactly the way I removed you to be able to be in this position to speak to those people and millions of people so that they know that when we're talking about evolving, that's what evolving not only entails internally, but externally. And that comes with the fact of not dodging, not so much dodging, but avoiding, that passive. Sometimes we're passive aggressive internally because we've been taught that since childhood. A lot of us, don't realize that a lot of our even chakra systems, a lot of our even spiritual devices and so forth, um, was a part of what we developed in the wombs of our mothers, and also what we experience externally, whether through a father, whether through a family dynamic, and so forth. So the miraculous part about all of that again is that not only being able to see it play out or you getting through it, but it's also to realize like if you're aware to see exactly what you were getting away from. And that's the restoration. That's what you were being restored with. The very thing I've always expressed to people is that through the hardship, through the agony, through the pain and so forth, your life does not have to be like that all the time. If you're able to sit and observe and see exactly the people and even what you were in, only to realize like I have to get out. And it's not about running away or avoiding it. It's about looking at it, facing it, and sometimes even laughing in the face of it. Because to me, I've got to a place where it's like, is this a dream or a joke? And once I had that concept, I'm like, why are they coming at me? You got to be kidding me. Like, it's funny. But this is that restoration of that innocence being restored. I, in the past couple of years, have laughed more. The past 2 years, laughed more than I've cried. And it ain't just in the crying aspect, it's also tears of joy, but I'm talking about painful things because it's the grieving process of keeping said people or keeping said energy, keeping the versions of myself going through for those that know on my other channel, me speaking about even just the evolution can be from that platonic, not platonic, but dysfunctional family dynamic only to evolve through and out of it. From again, being assigned a mother and father who, let's say, from my father's perspective, I can personally see Because again, I inherit these things until I face it. I can see that for one, the emotional instability, the codependency within my father. So many things that he doesn't see, but I see it play out patriarchally with his connections. Not that I'm in his business, it's I sit back and then I realize like what I'm playing out patriarchally and what I see familiar in my patriarchal, like the family that I came. So that's one part of one thing. Matriarchally speaking, from the father womb to the mother womb. So matriarchally speaking, I can see exactly where the codependency stemmed from. Where again, my mother displaying at that moment from childhood the emotional neglect, the physical abandonment, and so forth. Having a grandmother raise me very young. So that in itself created a ripple effect of relationships that reflected both energies. Now you see the beauty of that. So you're talking about now co-creating me, and so whether we want to believe it or not, we taking on two belief systems from a man who I have no idea how his mother and father raised him, but he gave me bits and pieces of telling me how it was abusive. My mother going through her trial and errors, or and so forth, and going through so many things, drug abuse and so forth. You bring that together and merge it. Not only do you inherit spiritual gifts, not only do you inherit, because a woman has intuition and a man has logic. He still, too, from his perspective, coming from his mother, he has emotion. She has emotion. You see what I'm saying? Everyone has different attributes, but a different belief system and value system. What she may value, he don't value. What he may value, and as I've said before, women, being ruled by the Venus aspect is, honesty. What is it? Honesty, pleasure, and what was the other one? Honesty, pleasure. God, it's always the third one. So, so again, honesty, pleasure, and come on, honesty, pleasure. It'll come to me. Okay, so again, when I look at that deeper concept of honesty and pleasure, and I see from a distance what my mom saw pleasure to be, pleasure and substance abuse, over giving, sex from very much from a wounded lens, and that reflects her inner child. It reflects her experience with her mother, her father, because again, what were their belief systems when they came together? So if a person in their minds or in their experience don't see themselves as a miracle, she most likely sees herself as a burden. And so I see that play out even with my grandmother in their relationship. It's like the things that she wants my mother to better herself for, it's almost like she speaks to her as if she's so much of a burden because of her life choices. I myself can still see the miracle because even when I was created. So people, they're all miracles. You can't make them see it. Now my father, men are Mars, so you have admiration, respect, and I just had the other one, admiration, respect, and sex. So again, from those three belief systems or those three things that mostly men are ruled by, what is his viewpoint? What was his experience? What was his experience, not only subconsciously, but what was his experience through those very three things? Did his mother respect him? Because that's his first sense of authority. Did his father respect him? Admiration. Did he receive words of admiration, appreciation, and so forth? Sex. What was his mindset around that? Like how, and what was his first experience around sex? So when you take these very things, you got two people meeting. It's almost like, yeah, engaging and so forth. You got two different belief systems. Because even in that, again, my mother, her grandmother, and my grandfather, what was his belief system around those very three things that they're ruled by, the Mars concept? And then even with his mother, my father's mother, what was her belief system around, how does she uphold the Venus attributes when it comes to, the honesty? Was her mother honest to her? Did she have an honest relationship with herself? And then even the pleasures in life, was she able to live out those things? What was pleasure to her? And gosh, what is the other one, bro? Let me finish this up. What is the other one? It may be in here. I may be able to find it. I'll bear with me. I'll be right. A lot of new. Honesty, pleasure. Honesty, pleasure. It might not be in here. I'm not sure. Honesty, pleasure. Honesty, pleasure. It's another one that's vital for women. Honesty, pleasure, and gosh, what is that other one? Man, I was in my other journal. Is it in this one? But I want y'all to ponder on that because when you look at even the wounded masculinity that is betrayed in women and men right now in their belief system, I see all the time like these dynamics that I'm seeing played out in certain structures, certain corporations. They're not giving women honesty. They're not actually telling them like this is actually what's happening. This is what actually could happen. Honesty, truth. So therefore, you're already creating a false foundation, a false narrative. And so there is no mutual trust with not just self, but you know, having to depend on. And this is why so much emotional attachment to said corporations that are being dismantled and falling because of the false sense of empowerment. Because it was never built on again what women value, honesty, and even for them to enjoy the pleasures of life, you know, joy, fun, certain things. When you really look up what pleasures represent, it's outside of just you know the substance abuse or just giving their bodies over, things that really don't have depth and substance to it. My gosh, what is the other one? I mean, well, I got no. I'm glad I pulled this out anyway because shout out to Yumi Gervais when she was speaking about Saturn. Saturn is so vital because it's about lessons and so forth. And um, longevity, aging, and family and ancestry. So the beauty of even how what I'm so like is so honorable about this is that even when reading in that, it says a lot to see why men, even when you see lifespan, even when you see the young men and so forth, when you're talking about longevity, that is a major aspect or asset in your life, the women who are there, your well being. So when you're talking about women who have been displaced or not even in a healthy way of being able to express themselves, to be able to build honest communities or sisterhood with honesty, things that are not focused on division when it comes to colorism or either nationalities and so forth, that affects the patriarchal because it starts with them matriarchally. So that affects the longevity, that affects the aging, even in who we are. That also affects the family dynamic. That also, most importantly, to the depths and the root, is connected to the ancestry. So before we can mend or try to create anything differently, that is the root of a lot of this. Is ancestrally what is going on ancestrally. But when you have a nation or nations or people around the world who the passive aggressiveness when it comes to what has been happening ancestrally, not just to us as men, but most importantly, the women, what has happened to them ancestrally. And when they're not told something from a patriarchal aspect of the honesty and how a lot of these men patriarchally previous video of the false empowerment of what brotherhood and how some of these people patriarchally came into their so-called false empowerment, is that from, again, building off of something or even stripping away the image, the power, the importance of the woman ancestrally. Because no matter how far you go back, you're going to find a woman who has given birth to what you see here today, the false empowerment of the patriarchal. And when women have no awareness of their power, they will empower this idea, of a false empowerment of men and put them in positions where it affects everything when it comes to the family, the communities, the people, most importantly, the fucking children. So this is what the cleansing, this is what is being exposed. So, um, man, I forgot that third one when it says women are ruled by honesty and pleasure. That other one I know I got. Y'all don't get it, but I be on y'all get it. Where is it? I believe I found that. Come on, come on, come on. It's on here. It's on here. I'll make another video about that. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. I'm not gonna put this all in one video. I'm not. I gotta make it. Oh my god. What is the thing with women on? But anywho, this is what you're seeing unfold. Is that our women have to go through these things. Like our mothers didn't know the importance of how sacred they are. So I will say this and just finish it up. I'll speak on this in another video. It's for our mothers and everyone now, especially our mothers, to no longer be a low hanging fruit. It is a moment for a lot of you to go away and to heal, or to even encourage you all to go on, even on a which is happening naturally. The healing of your womb space has a lot to do with you going into celibacy. And I'm just gonna give y'all this low hanging fruit. Everyone can have access to it. Just give you this analogy. Everyone can come. And what this okay. Y'all still are miracles. But this Lord, this is going to be another video. Basically, I'm gonna say this. No longer, I encourage all of our young women, mothers, and women especially, today in this moment, we bind, we dispel, we rebuke, we banish the spirit of being low hanging fruit. What that means is, for those who don't know, and this is my perception of this, you no longer allowing people to have access to you. And the beauty of this is that imagine an apple and imagine a fruit. You are the fruit. You are a few fruit of the Creator, the Most High, right? And allowing men or people to have so much access to you, meaning that you're denying access to yourself. And this is what has happened generationally. What no longer will happen from this day forward moving on is allowing so many people to have access to you. Because how will you ever know what it is you're going through, healing, and needing to face? Allowing those men to keep coming in and have access to your fruit, to your womb, to your essence, to your being, is keeping you from evolving. It's keeping you from your peace. It's keeping you from you, to finding the love, the truth, the honesty, to building within yourself. If not, the cycle or the loophole of you assuming through the false empowerment of this patriarchal, because of the wounded matriarchal or the wounded masculine, is having you you believe that you should give so much of yourself to everybody and everything. You, love, are the source. You are connected so much to the spirit realm and to the creator and source because you bring forth life. That means you have the connection. And a lot of you, the reason I say from you being low hanging fruit is that you're allowing too many people here where you can't even connect here. And so that's the elevation that is happening when you're talking about the divine mother that is returning and restoring the women with the power that they've always had matriarchally to bring forth a patriarch that will honor not only himself but the values and the attributes of the feminine and masculine aspect. So he will value that healing, that unfolding of the healing that has to happen within him, so that he can act this out, masculine, his masculinity assert that within himself and you. So low hanging fruit is not allowing people to have access to you. That means they'll be able to see you, but they won't be able to touch you. So that's what it is. That a lot of you have valuable fruit. What's making you rotten, what's making you like not valuable to yourself or anyone else is because you're allowing people to have access to you that mean you're no good, that don't want to pour into you, that don't want to even water you mentally, your garden, even water you in a spiritual sense, even give you something that doesn't have to have a price tag. A lot of that false empowerment, a lot of this false patriarchal, these men that you see who don't have a sense of awareness, who are literally fading to the back, actually believe that they have to have so much money to even attain you, to even treat you like a product rather than fruit. Wisdom, man will always and has always been anointed, appointed by women that are in their priesthood, women that are high priestess, women spiritually that has, again, even if their mothers didn't even know who they were, there still was an anointing on their life, those men that came forth. Only to be reminded, such as myself, is that my mom knew she was valuable. She just didn't assert herself as such. It's not, I cannot carry that load, but a lot of you are carrying the load and the emotions and so forth of other people that do not value you because they don't even know how valuable their fruit are. The women around you don't know how valuable they are. That's why they gossip. They're not empowering you. The words, the thoughts they have, and so forth, the way they feel about themselves. So again, you're allowing too many people to have access to you because I always express to women, once you allow people to have access to you, especially you who have fucking kids, you're allowing them to have access to your kids. Access to you is access to everyone. Access to you as women is access to your partnership, your marriage, your business. Access to you is access to everything. Because everything happens spiritually before it happens physically. That's why a lot of you have gifts of foresight. That's why a lot of you have gifts naturally. When you return and being restored with these gifts, it's your mother and grandmother and so forth, or even down a lineage, they knew they have. But due to certain things happening, it's not that they went away, it's just certain ancestors that came after them, or people that came after them, abused their power. So a lot of you seeing your mothers and grandmothers before you abuse their gifts. So their disconnect to the creator of source. They allow people to have access to them physically, which allow people to have access to their gifts spiritually. And their access to your mother allowed them to have access to you, darling. This is why you see a lot of you. Yes, you are a miracle, but a lot of you, your waters were tainted. Your life was tainted. Had your mother had more spiritual protection or being aware who she was, those things would have never happened when it came to like said abuse and certain things. And that's living proof of a man who experienced it and put women through those things because again, had my mother and her father, people who did not know the importance of even allowing people to have access to me, I would have never taken on this narrative to at a time to even believe that all women were like that. So a lot of you, even your mother allowed a certain person to have access to her, and that man came in and had access to you. I'm sending you love. I'm sending you healing. I appreciate you. You still are a miracle because you're here. And your story deserves to be heard. And as you tell your story, as you speak, you will banish and remove that spirit, that Jezebel spirit, that succubus, whatever spirit is. Because as you do that, as you remove yourself, everyone will have access to you. And that awareness around that, you deserve, we all deserve to not allow people to have access, especially the ones who try to ruin us, who never ordered us. You were never meant to be low hanging fruit. That was someone else's belief system. Now, you are valuable. You are valuable, and only those who value you will have access to you. So begin the healing. Begin to see within yourself that you are a miracle. You are a miracle. So again, a lot of you that have started a new journey, a new experience, and bringing in these kids that are again, as you see your value, they too will develop that belief system. It's not your fault. That's exactly what we came here to do. Is to change that narrative. And again, this is what's happening for a lot of you that are being weeded out from said communities and women. The change is here for a lot of you that are going to be divinely guided and to relocate and to build. And it's not meant for people to see that vision or aligned. You know who I'm speaking to. So y'all take care of yourself. And that is my message for the day. Remember, out of millions of cells, millions of sperm, it's you. Know your worth, know your value.